Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 22 of Purple Hyacinth Disruptive Discovery. And we have Fwoot and Shivii.
Hi.
Hopefully,
Hello.
right? Shivii?
What's that?
It is pronounced Shivii, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, well, Fwoot will start us off.
Okay, so we start off in the last episode, technically, in the later part of episode 21, and Lauren is flipping through Anslow's notebook while Kieran continues to question him. And Kieran says he must have sent his personal messenger, right? He as in Apostle 7, I believe. And Anslow hesitates. He doesn't say anything. And so Kieran, he squats down and he notices a fork. And he says, "Lost your voice? My friend here can sign if you'd prefer."
Which, of course, is hilarious because their signing is not very effective.
No.
And then Kieran continues and he says, "Really, that's too bad. It's so much easier to sign with all your fingers attached." It's kind of weird because it makes me, like, that transition, it makes me feel like there's a missing panel or something.
From
And
where?
also hesitates again, like in between the "lost your voice, my friend here can sign if you'd prefer. Really, that's too bad."
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I see. Well,
Mhm.
maybe he's just being silent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying.
Also
Kieran is
doesn't
very threatening with a fork.
Anslow doesn't say anything, and Kieran's gripping the fork. And he says, "But if that's what's necessary," he flips the fork around in his hand and he stabs it into the armchair near Anslow's hand.
I'm
And
fairly certain that if we took a regular fork and stabbed it into wood, it would not penetrate. I don't think they're sharp enough.
Kieran has shonen powers.
Aren't fingers like the same as carrots?
I never tried stabbing my fingers, so I'm gonna say Bob.
And so Anslow, now panicking, starts revealing information finally, and he's saying the apostles never show themselves. It's always an anonymous messenger who gives us our directives. They are the eyes, ears, and voices of the apostle. I tried to follow one once, but they basically disappeared at will. I lost him. And Lauren is flipping through the book.
That's like important.
While this
We
is
will come
happening.
across that later on, the fact that people can appear and disappear. So we'll get some more hints to that later, but it's interesting that he already is mentioning it.
And Kieran says, "Interesting. What about your associates? 𝗪𝗏𝗃 might have been neutralized, but I still hear a certain 𝗪𝗆𝗋𝗄𝗃 is still on the run. Where is he now? Who are the others?" And Anslow says, "I can't really say for sure. They get the weapons from the black market overseas. So he's there dealing with one of our main suppliers on behalf of the apostle. As for the others, I've cooperated with 𝗪𝗏𝗃, 𝗪𝗆𝗋𝗄𝗃, and a woman called 𝗪𝗏𝗃𝗃 Blakesley." So what do you guys think about that?
I love that they mentioned the black market overseas. It's just like we just don't know anything about the world that they live in, but it's so important.
Yeah.
Curious and has developed theories about overseas.
Yeah, like what's going on in the black market? Dang.
Black markets are everywhere.
Something Peach does really well is that it does subtle world building. So you get world building like this in just passing remarks where we learn like, oh, hey, there's a black market, and oh, hey, there's like overseas suppliers from probably another country or another part of the country.
And like information about the apostles and the messengers. I like that Purple Hyacinth makes us work for the story. It's good to always reread. It's such a good reread because you're always refreshing on the information and finding new things when you come back to it.
Yep, realizing the significance of things that you didn't realize were significant before.
Especially just after like one episode release, you could just like go back and find so many new things.
So Lauren glances over to Kieran and 𝗪𝗏𝗃, and Kieran says, I see. And he picks What I assume is the fork. It kind of looks like a dagger there.
He's got a knife and then
Yeah,
he's got the
he-
fork.
She threatened him with
Okay.
the knife last time.
He's trying to be like threatening like a gang, as if like, oh, chopping off your finger is really gonna do much.
Okay. That makes sense. So Lauren sighs and she almost closes the notebook before she notices something and her pupils kind of go weird and she opens
Before
the
we
notebook.
go on to that for a sec, I think she sighs because she's still like, and she kind of has this in the panel before she sighs, she has this like eyebrow raised. And I think she doesn't approve of Kieran's torture methods, although obviously, it's not like she's been above doing some not such nice things before, but like this physical torture or physical intimidation, really. She's rolling her eyes at it because she doesn't want to use that. So I thought that was interesting to see.
It's really quirky and funny because he's gonna do it anyways.
So she opens the notebook and snatches a piece of paper and she thinks it can't be, and the thought bubble is super kind of chaotic. There's a lot of movement to it. It's a bit blurred. And she just looks incredibly concerned and her hand is shaking as she looks at the photo. And she just looks absolutely floored, kind of. And she's horrified. Meanwhile, the police are raiding which bar?
The
Golden
Golden
Clover.
Clover.
This one's Golden Clover. I almost said a different one. And we see the APD raid. They say, APD, please stand aside. Herman is there and he's saying, we're looking for Harry Anslow. If you have information, come forward, else step aside. And there's a lot of commotion and Kieran notices it. And he says, seems like they're right on time.
Which means
Your
they're like a little
cooperation.
late. Like they should have gotten out at this point, I think, like
Yeah.
before they come in. Pretty risky
Yeah.
to be, I'm assuming the police have surrounded the building. I mean, that's what any intelligent police force would do. And they're
Right.
like, I'm just gonna leave now when they're already here.
And it's probably like a full moon, so they can just see them.
Mhm.
So Kieran says, your cooperation has been much appreciated. I strongly suggest you keep it up for the police if you want your trip to jail to be painless. And Lauren is still in the middle of her panic attack. Kieran has not noticed at all. And yeah, she's not doing so great. She's
Here.
okay.
Yeah, so we have this like crazy image. I mean, it's black and white. So, it's like, and to emphasize how her world has narrowed down to just one thing. So, how when you have this like life and death experience, I don't know if you've ever had this, but I spoke with a couple of people who did, and I've had this myself a couple of times where like suddenly everything goes quiet and time slows down. And it's very surreal. Like I'm not a believer in the supernatural necessarily, but that like when you have those moments, you understand how your body can experience things in a way differently than you normally do. So she looks like she's having that, like the world is blacked out and it looks like she's hyper focused on what she just saw.
Yeah, her perception is so like disrupted right now that her brain can't even focus on anything around her. It's just like, it's like she's drowned
and we'll see from her behavior, she clearly turned her brain off.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, she would have been screwed without Kieran.
Oh my goodness
shift.
gracious. She would have been caught by the APD in 5 seconds flat. But yeah, we'll see.
It just proves how reckless she is. Like, she is a loose cannon.
Yep. So grips the paper, and meanwhile, she's kind of like frozen, it seems, because Kieran says, hey, let's go. They're here. We have to leave. It's like stating the obvious, right? Like he's like, child, let's go. But she rushes over, totally ignores what he says. Her hand is, oh my God, she's snatches his blindfold off. Like, how dumb can you get? But okay. Slams it on the floor, slams her hand on Anslow's hands, and shoves the picture in his face, from which proximity he probably can't even see it because it's so close to his eyes, and says, what's your connection with him? How do you know him? And meanwhile, the APD is, rushing around in the restaurant right nearby. So, there's the patrons are getting all nervous. They're screaming. They're rushing around. And think there's this, they're all wearing like maroon overcoats. I don't know if that's like your certain level, you wear a maroon overcoat. Anywho,
there's
there's
too, because
yeah.
I think there was like, I honestly don't know if it was in a future past episode, but there is like a flashback of like the maroon coats, but like I've also seen the blue ones, so I'm just like, what's the difference?
Different level. But
I forgot about the maroon coats until like season 2.
a theory about it.
Don't get her started.
Sorry. Let's assume it's rank, or maybe it's fashion.
Yeah.
They're like, let's wear maroon today. Let's all match.
At
guys.
first, I thought it was like by precinct, but that doesn't make sense. Wait, no.
I think maroon coats are for detectives.
Oh.
Wait, did you guys not know that?
Wait.
Because we've only seen March wear a maroon coat, as well as
true.
Lauren when she was a detective.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Oh my, thank you guys.
But wait, do you think like
out.
all the other precinct APD like have different colors, or do you think they all kind of?
Well, I think normal officers wear the blue, and then detectives wear the maroon.
Like they kind of look like Sherlock's jacket, same color.
Yeah, well, I'll keep an eye out now to their color. So a glass crashes to the floor, and it's like a scene of chaos. And Lauren is just there, and she's like, "Hey, talk to me." And again, puts it a little further from his face, and maybe now he can see it. Anslow's like, "What?" And Kieran is like, "Oh, shizzle." He furrows the eyebrows. He looks mad and concerned. He turns around because he's like, "Here's the police nearby," and he's like, "Now is not the time," and he's panicking. And Lauren just doesn't even notice. She's like, "Didn't you hear what I just asked? How do you know him? Answer me." And the police are literally kicking in the door. And they kick in the door, not to their room, thankfully, but who is there? None other than the butler and the Lady A, who we saw before. But
they should have
they're like hugging each other. What?
Sorry, they should have shot Lady A.
She would have came back from the dead. Like Butler would have brought her back. That's kind of iconic though, because like Butler died in the canvas, so Lady A does have to die in this one.
Yeah, I don't know. The fact that Butler died in canvas makes me wonder, because I think that Lady A has like significance to the plot, but I don't know, maybe the Butler was considered expendiary, and I don't know. So if he died in the canvas, it's like maybe not, but I don't know. We'll see. Anywho, yes.
Well, wait, I have something to say real quick. But you know how Lady A reacts to Butler, like it's just it makes me think that Lady A somehow has PTSD or trauma from the canvas version. That's in the canon version. So like maybe she has nightmares of canvas version Butler dying, so she thinks he's always dead.
And that's why she's so crazy and hysterical whenever he moves for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Not a bad theory. Anyway, March is like, okay, I guess these are not our people for some reason. I don't know, they look suspicious to me, like they could be lone. And he turns around and it looks like he's looking at storage room employees only, and that's where they are. Kira's like, "Seriously, we gotta go now." And Anslow was just looking up at her, and he's like, "Who the hell are you?" And thump, 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 they're literally outside the door. This is insane. Kieran's freaking out, hyperventilating. And then there's a crack, and he just lifts her up, throws her over his shoulder. Lauren's not like, "No." She's just in despair and not getting an answer. And she's like, "Let go." And she's fighting with him.
This panel.
Yeah.
This panel of just him carrying her is so funny, because she's hitting him in the backside.
I know, right? I didn't notice that. Poor guy.
And he's just like sprinting. He's the running man, literally.
This is insane. Look, it's literally insane. They're pounding at the door. And the face that she has though, like the face, that panel now, she looks like she's in utter despair.
Yeah.
I mean, you like totally get why Kieran is like hyperventilating, but she is in another world.
Both their faces are terrifying.
Yeah, Kieran's like, we got to get out of here like negative 20 minutes ago, otherwise we're dead. And he clacks open, I guess, a window. It's hard to see. And she still has the picture in her hand, all crunched up. Again, clacks open a window, jumps out. It's like right by Anslow's head. And literally right then, the police come in. Like in the nick of time, they got out. And Marshall's looking out the window, and he just sees, you know, a beautiful starry night and the street with there some, you know, some lights out there, empty balcony, empty roof, because they just left like a second ago.
What if March did see something?
Ooh. And he didn't say anything because he
and
saw
he's
Lauren.
keeping it a secret?
That is so interesting.
I just like to think March is such a good guy. Like, he's like Jesus in this. He really is. Everybody just loves him.
Oh boy, what's the author's note here? The author's note is, oh, Kieran will be good at the knife game. Oh, I love my fingers. The knife goes chop, chop, chop. I don't know what the knife game is, but I guess it's something where you throw the knife between your fingers.
Wait, I never saw this. But I wrote a fanfic of Kieran doing the knife game.
So funny.
But I never
What?
even knew that that she wrote that. What the heck?
You did
Yeah.
what? When?
It's the Calm Before the Storm fan fiction. It's the drunk fanfic where the four of them go and get drunk, and Kieran plays the knife game with Will, and he stabs the knife between Will's fingers while singing the song, really drunk.
Oh goodness.
It's super chaotic. It's like a one shot, but it's like 10,000 words.
Oh goodness. Anywho, Lauren in this episode, heart attack worthy, definitely.
And can we just say that this song, Requiem for the Fragile, and the next one in the next episode are like two of my favorites.
Okay. This track is my favorite. I didn't even realize it was in this episode until you mentioned it, but this track is my absolute favorite, closely followed by Arrival from season 2. But this track,
Requiem
I
for the
love
Fragile.
it so much.
I really
Yes.
love the other one more, but because it's like so intense, but like they're both, oh my gosh, it just grasps Loon and the vibe so perfectly.
For me, it's like Requiem, I don't know how to pronounce it, but like Requiem of the
Requiem.
Fragile,
Yeah.
or Requiem for the Fragile, then it's Arrival, then Requiem of the Flowers.
Yeah, that's the one that plays in the next one.
They're so good.
Nice.
Oh my god.
Well then, any final thoughts before we end this episode?
It's really, really important. This episode's like, when I come back and reread, I'm just like, wow, this episode is everything. I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched the previous podcast of the episode before this, but like, I always see the panel of Kieran handing Lauren the notebook with the photo in it, and it's just like, he's the one handing it to her, and it's just really important that it's showing that, you know?
It does kind of give us an insight on where Lauren's priorities lie. We don't really know what's on the photo, but it was something serious enough to get her to bail on this whole thing.
Yeah, I don't think she was even thinking rationally. Like, I think if you would have told her, hey, you're gonna get caught and like your colleagues are gonna see you and your whole life is gonna be in shambles, yeah, maybe she would have been like, okay, yeah, I guess I should be going now. But she doesn't have, she's so emotionally overcome by what she saw. Her brain just shut off. I mean, and it is very risky when you're with her like that.
It expresses her character really well and her flaws, and just like the whole reason why she's doing this. Like, obviously these things are very personal to her. Like, she's in her own world still, and even though she wants to like help and, you know, do the greater good, it's just, she's got so much trauma to heal from, and, you know.
Yep. Well, we'll be recording the next episode quite shortly, and we will see the ramifications of this.
All right, see you then.
Yeah.
Bye.